Live on DSTV channel 421, Go TV channel 125. This is Joy News Prime with me, Samuel Kojo Brace. Coming up, allegations of pervasive vote buying has characterized the Kumawu By-Election as voters are alleged to have received money from enthusiasts of some candidates in an attempt to influence their vote. In this bulletin, we'll take you to Kumawu for all the update coming in from there. Now, also, 2 babies die at Savannah Regional Hospital after power was disconnected to the facility over unpaid electricity bills. Hospital authorities say the action by NETCO is not only condemnable, but a crime. NETCO maintains the disconnection was necessary. We'll bring you Prime Business at 8 p.m. and Prime Sports at 8:30. This is the home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Please stay with us for details. From wherever you're watching us from, welcome. Now, this is your election headquarters, and polls in the Kumawu in the Ashanti region have drawn to a close. But we understand the keenly contested by-election have been largely characterized by widespread vote buying from members of the governing New Patriotic Party in an attempt to sway the vote in favor of their candidate. The NDC candidate for Kumawu, Kwesi Amankwa, described the act as pathetic. We understand that once there has been a pervasive one. Let's speak to Mausi Demonu, Senior Programs Officer and Team Lead Elections at CDD Ghana, who thinks this occurrence of vote buying is troubling, one which has been allowed to fester because no one has really been penalized for the act. Now, he says this does not help in the development of our democracy. He joins us via Zoom. Now, grateful to you for joining us, Mausi Demonu. Now, what are your observations concerning this particular by-election?
Hello, good evening. Good evening to our listeners. Thank you very much. So, I've been keeping a keen eye on the happenings in this particular election, and one of the key things that become very striking is the vote buying, which had been going on. Very, very well. Throughout the day, and so for me, vote buying. For this particular election. Let me just say that vote buying is not a new phenomenon in body politics and all that. So even throughout, party primaries and all those processes that leads to an election of this sort, like a by-election of this sort, and any other parliamentary elections as well. We see a lot of these things happening. But the fact that it's invoked and it's happening doesn't mean it's right, because when you look at sections 33 of the Representation of the People's Law 1992, PNDC Law 284, as amended by several other amendments, it treats the issue about bribing any voter to, induce a voter to vote or not to vote as a criminal offense. And so, the laws make it very clear. But for what is also worrying is that in this particular election as well, we like that the issue about vote buying, it looks like it's open and you can find it anywhere and anyhow it's being done. People are not maybe trying to hide it in order to do it. And so that means that it's very worrying. And,
okay.
And that you could see that some of the people that are even taking money think that, yes, it's their time for them to exact their pound of flesh from the political parties. And so that in itself also throws light on the fact that it's a very worrying situation that has gotten out of hand. Because, looking at this whole issue, at this moment, or prior to this election, we've heard politicians and political party functionaries and even candidates complaining about the cost of elections, and then they're told that it has on them financially. And even when they do not win the nod, or even when they win the nod, what it means to them, for them to constantly be looking over their shoulders and then trying to build a war chest for the elections because of this heavy cost. And so it's very worrying. And then we would have thought that, this is just an opportunity where some of these things will not be introduced, because obviously it affects the issue of fair competition within elections, and it makes nonsense of our own democratic processes. And so we think that this is a very worrying trend that should not be allowed to fester.
Aside it really making it, I mean, how you've put it in terms of its impact on our elections, in terms of democracy in general, how does this particular practice, impact that one in terms of our democratical dispensation?
Okay, so so if you look at it broadly in terms of how it affects our democracy, obviously elections, I mean, people are supposed to go and then vote for leaders who would govern them and by their own choice and not without any inducement to vote for people. And so if you are being induced to vote for somebody based on the monetary gifts or any other gift that the person gives you, it means that your votes, you sold your vote and then you sold your conscience. And so whoever that you are voting for that person to become a member of parliament would also, when they also, get the nod, they would also be doing things their own way because they will have to sacrifice you. So citizens need to understand that if they are taking money from politicians, it means that probably they are selling their future. They are aware of it or not, they are selling their future. And so at some point in time, what is expected of the members of parliament for them to be doing, they will probably sacrifice their constituents as well. And so you realize that you've had instances where buildings that are supposed to be maybe, let's say, a four-story or five-story hospital is cut short and then it's made just about maybe one story or even just a building without any story. And so citizens lose in the long run. On the other part is that, for members of parliament as well, the time that they will spend in terms of, scrutinizing issues in parliament or dealing with their core functions, they always be looking over their shoulders, trying and then spending more time looking out for opportunities elsewhere. That would help them to be able to, make more money and then build their war chest to be able to execute their campaigns for the next election. So in terms of the quality of the governance and then the quality of the representation that members of parliament are supposed to give for their people, we wouldn't see a lot more of that. And so a lot more is sacrificed on the altar of what people are receiving at present. And so that has a long
impact on our democratic development.
On our democracy and our democratic development.
How can we deal with this practice? Okay,
so it looks like this issue has become very festered. Looking at what is happening at and one way that we can do. Okay, so far it looks like nobody has really been prosecuted to the full extent of the law and given the necessary sanctions that they are supposed to be given. In the best of my knowledge. And so I believe that it's because some of these things that nobody has been made a scapegoat, an example to prove a point to citizens that this is actually wrong. And so this has festered for a very long time. But in recent times as well, we realized that the Office of the Special Prosecutor has taken a strong interest in trying to execute its mandate and by also trying to work around to clamp down on some of these electoral offenses that revolves around vote buying and then treating and all that. And so I think once they are also trying to do a good job, they're trying to do a job in that respect, we all are citizens and including the media, civil society organizations and everybody, we need to throw our weight behind them and then give them that massive support to be able to do that. But whilst the OSP is also doing all these things, I think we need to also really sensitize the public on the dangers of bribery, vote buying, and what it means for, the consequences that it would have for development in their communities and then the quality of life that they are sacrificing today, the patterns that politicians are giving them. And so that education needs to go on, not just around elections, but then all year round for people to be able to get that so that we can, in the long run, we can help to probably mitigate that culture, that brewing culture, where people see elections as an opportunity to exact from
on this particular
But in addition to that, I just want to add one other point. People will land on this. I also think that citizens should also be taught and then coached. Sensitized on how they can also gather very compelling evidence that can help, let's say, the Office of the Special Prosecutors and Prosecutor, and then other law enforcement agencies that are keen on trying to deal with this situation, so that they can provide very compelling evidence that can help them to be able to, build a very good case that can help to prosecute people that are found culpable in perpetrating this crime of vote buying and vote selling as well,
and inducement. So in just 30 seconds, once there are videos out there of vote buying and inducement, what's your expectation after this by-election?
So my expectation is that in the law enforcement agencies, even the Office of the Special Prosecutor, and then the police is also there, and they are, I mean, the concentration of police for this by-election and for many other by-elections are very clear that their concentration over their side. So I believe a lot of them have seen some of these things that are happening, and so it's incumbent on them to take these cases up and then take it case by case and then look into the merits and then the merits of all these issues and then prosecute persons that are found culpable. Because people need to be made examples of, so that going forward we can have a bit of some sanity when it comes to electoral processes, and then for us to have very fair elections and then very credible elections that are not based on citizens, voters being induced to vote in a certain way or against certain or for certain political parties. We need to have that fair space for elections.
Mausi Dumenu, I'm grateful that you could join us here on Joy News Prime. We're still staying with this Kumawu by-election. Let's take you now live to Kumawu, where my colleague Ohiming Terry is standing by to give us a feel of exactly what's happening. We understand that he is in the family house of the candidate of the NPP, Ernestiao and Nim. Ohiming, what have they been telling you?
Brace, likewise, the residents of Kumawu, Bodomase, who have hit the streets and blocked the main Bodomase-Rasu road. In the family house, I came and met the mother of the NPP's parliamentary candidate, Ernestiao Anim. The mother is Mercy Opoku. Gathered around her are some colleagues, her friends, who have come to wish her well. She tells me a lot about her son. So I would love to find out from the 66-year-old woman how she feels about what has been happening as far as the political future and development of her son is concerned. So let me find out from Madam Mami Etesei. Oniesi wohu. Adentina oniesi.
Makasa sa mi bosse meniaji semi bano onwini enuntina meniesi.
Ka oba ya wani mu ho asem kakra kire me. Oye hwan o mano kura no mo ye dodo se no to so sei.
Mano o mo ye nan. Otoso mienu. Na me ba ya ono. Oso nyina na neje NPP ho. Politics. If se nane nana mi papa nene nije politics ho. Etie ma me ba no debia me papa kwa no odi nachi eye ne nana. Etie moa na kese debia on de woko ba bia osimi de me NPP ni. Etie me ba na ni di eje ho firi no mafrase enene wodi abenyini. Etie ope ade ne frititi ama onde bia ka onene ma me munyina ye nyina ne nije NPP ho. Enuntina me ba ya no openwini sa ade no ama meni age ama meni esie no ye ni ji ase
enti oda so da ye se oba ya wani mebrebe so ama said ye kan abato komisa enso ne nsase ono no adi nkunim na nso ade hia mo obodoma se ni Kumawu besro ane raso anananya atiesi montin so bose oda dwen se brebe so ama ebia obegina amia begina se ometo aba ma ne se mra se bedwani wo Kumawu
pa me da dwen se na sa ade no wo nani so ne wo nani so se o pese da chimbia wo di MP ana was starting across assembly mine and so I said no me kwa stand MP eti ni mo ani mo kwa di ka stand DC ama DC no wenya be fie miensa ne nan ena esa akoba se wo sa akogina MPP eno so be 4 years ni baso ata loko jinaye eno so no no di baso achi sa eti mbra odi baso achi na no na nani jon eno de what say ebrese no apesa be stand obra baso esi foma ena anko basa na owuo eda be fa baso eti emra wo fa baso an wo wa brochire ena wo mo friend say wo na okoye na adwuma bi aba ti one of papa edi free mu na mo friend no body buy to buy no let you say nani agi say one more friend say o standing it did not come.
So Brace, this is Madam Mercy Opoku. She tells me Ernest Yao Enim, the New Patriotic Party's parliamentary candidate, is the second of her 4 children. And since his infancy, he has been a lover of politics. He's been attending political rallies and programs with the grandfather. So she is not surprised that today, if people are jubilating and have hit the streets or in celebrating her son because they see him as somebody who has won the just ended by-election, it's something that she dreamt of. And she's been giving me a family history of how the family in Kumawu By-Election have been ardent supporter. And he tells me Mr. Yao Enim, until the death of the late MP for Kumawu, was an ardent supporter and believer of Mr. Philip Basua, whom he attended almost every program with. He once contested for the DCE-ship, but unfortunately he lost it. 4 years ago, he had plans to also contest the sitting and incumbent MP, but he resigned his decision. But here today, here we are celebrating his son. Etimame say about to komisa more obaidi say ono eno aba ye mrase bedwani. Now so uji say ye money di mpokra no wadi nkunima na.
Ye money di nkwa no me hu se bona ye bon me hu se nyame amanadi nkunim.
All right, so she has lost her voice because of the shouts and the celebrations that accompanied her son's supposedly election. Now, the jubilation across the entire constituency is an indication that indeed her son has been duly elected the member of parliament for Kumawu. Now, Mami Misa say, "Enedia, na just say wabeye yemfa ne say wabeye MP mame. Onanti akrasa na benanti Kumawu Bodomase."
Menanti boko say no me MP ma me nye bibi ye kikiri say me MP ma
ada na wosiri ma me
that dey okay na ya mesria.
Okay, so she says my question about how she is going to parade herself in the streets of Kumawu By-Election is what has left her in laughter. And she tells me, as a member, the mother of a member of parliament elect, she will be circumspect with the way she conducts herself in the community. Behind Madame Opoku is also colleagues and members of a group that she says are royal ladies. My name is royal ladies.
Yeah, say yaka ya ho abom eye maku say ye nua bi ho kire na ye beboa no erunti na ma yaka ye ho abom royal ladies
enti una ye de okuemu
ye ekuo ne hima royal ladies hima.
Interestingly, she is a queen mother or leader of a group of women who have come together to form an association called Royal Ladies. They have come together to support each other in times of need. So today they are here, they have joined her in celebrating the victory, the supposed election of her son, Ernest Yao Enim. Now, Omana, I know, a mother do I say, all right, so she has 4 children, 2 males and then 2 females. So it's been very, very interesting in the family house of the supposed MP elect for such a Kumawu constituency, Ernest Yao Enim. I have been speaking to the mother, Mercy Opoku, 66-year-old Mercy Opoku. Now, mama, are you my now here?
Patron, me hairdresser, as I said, my point Juma,
now you're hairdresser.
Me a hairdresser.
Oh, okay. So interestingly, she used to be a hair plater, but because of her age, she's no longer into that trade. So from Kumawu By-Election in the Kumawu constituency, we are bringing you how residents of Kumawu By-Election are celebrating the supposedly election of the NPP candidate Ernest Yao Enim. From the family house of Ernest Yao Enim, my name is Ohim Interior.
Wonderful. We'll come back to you for the declaration. Some great scenes from the family house of the NPP candidate. Now, the Electoral Commission has not declared yet, so we can only refer to him as the NPP candidate. We'll go back there for the declaration. This is your election headquarters. Stay with us. We'll bring you more update from the constituency. Now, to other stories, 2 babies have reportedly died following a disconnection of power to the Savannah Regional Hospital by the Northern Electricity Distribution Company, NEDCO. According to the authorities at the hospital, the disconnection caused a malfunction in the laboratory equipment, leading to the death of the babies because of the failure in blood transfusion. Head of Finance at the hospital, Damba Rashid, says the action by NEDCO should not only be condemned but seen as a crime. However, Manager of Corporate Communications at NEDCO, Samuel Kojo, maintains the disconnection was necessary because the hospital owes in arrears of 4.8 million Ghana cedis since 2013. Let's now go on to Zoom now and speak to him. He's the head of finance at the Savannah Regional Hospital, Damba Rashid. Grateful that you could join us here, sir. Now, very sad development there, but is it a case your facility was not consulted before the power was disconnected?
Yeah, good evening to your cherished listeners and viewers. Sincerely speaking, if I say we were not consulted, then I will not be fair. But the fact is, who have they consulted? The persons they consulted were just the ordinary people. And if you have consulted them and management, you didn't meet management for us to inform the appropriate places to put their things in order. That is why I declare this particular issue as criminal. In any way, you have to inform management so that we'll put our house in order before you come and do that kind of disconnection. We admit, obviously, that we are owing NEDCO. But sincerely speaking, this owings or arrears is as a result of an agreement that NEDCO or all district hospital or health sector have with government, of which we are under a main body called CHAG. And CHAG happens to be an agency of Ministry of Health. They appropriately channel our bills to Ministry of Health and government pays. The way and manner government does the payment, sincerely speaking, we are not privy to it. Until recent, when their revenue mobilization exercise came to play, then immediately we have to pick our statement from NEDCO to realize that the last time government paid was as at 2013. Okay. This is an accrued bill, over 4.8 million Ghana cedis. Would you stand on that to disconnect the facility? Is the facility, the negotiation, don't you think having to have that negotiation with the headquarters will better solve this issue? Initially, when they came to disconnect, they engaged us, and we called our headquarters, and they told us that they have a serious discussion with the rep of NEDCO, Minister of Health. The minister himself was present. Our deputy director told us categorically that they were all present in the meeting. And this letter they have issued, we need to send it to them and let them understand that there's an ongoing discussion which government will make commitment to that. So they should cease fire. Okay. But still, they refused and went ahead and disconnected. And when they came to the facility to do the disconnection, the information they gave us was that our electrician reported to them that we have a problem with our line. And for that matter, there was a need to disconnect or do whatsoever to solve that problem.
At that point in time, weren't they told that people were on facilities that required power and that taking it off may probably result in the loss of lives?
That is why my heart is bleeding. If this country will take things in our own hands, or even patients were crying the day they came to do this disconnection. Patients who were on critical condition, sincerely speaking, that needed blood transfusion ought to have been referred just because of this issue. So my problem is that If the manager himself, the municipal manager of Netco was not told, people didn't harass him, try to draw people we don't even know, people who are not workers, said, no, you ought not to do this. People's lives are in danger. Don't do this. And he refused and said we should get in touch with his boss in Tamale. Whatever comes out of his mouth is that it's his boss in Tamale that we need to have a negotiation with. Me, I don't know your boss. I don't have any link with your boss. Probably it is our headquarters people who have that opportunity to talk with your boss and communicate to us as to what to do. But yet, if you are talking to him, he thinks that, of course, you have to talk to his boss or whatsoever. Sincerely, we have to pick directive from our headquarters, that is CHAC headquarters, as to what to do. And the directive we picked was that there was an ongoing discussion, and the discussion was even at the point that government needed to earmark funds for that effect. So they should stop that kind of exercise. Other places they have stopped. It's in the northern region that they are doing this to us. Most places, our hospital, we talk to each other. People, they have more or less like harassed to do payments upfront without listening to our headquarters. Our headquarters, our bosses are not happy with that. So if you want to talk to them, they will tell you that.
Since this incident, have you made any payment and has power been restored?
Yes, we thank God that power have been restored. As at yesterday in about 7:30 p.m., our MP, Member of Parliament, Samuel Kojo, he was the one who came to our aid by releasing some funds to probably solve this problem for us. But I think that is not all. Even the money we are owing, in a month, what we generate as against monthly consumption of electricity is woefully inadequate. Monthly, we spend like, we consume like 200,000 plus. And what we realize is less than 300,000. If at the end, government is now saying that we should pay our electricity, we have to pick directive as to how to levy the client so that we can be able to meet this debt. But if that has not been done, we cannot upfront just levy clients to start paying just like that. That is what we want NETCO to understand, that it's beyond us to take the decision on our own. They should relax, and then we will also be mounting pressure on them so that they will make sure that we all come to a compromisation. But with what has happened, it's as if we are looking for the money more than the lives of the people. We understand. Without NETCO, probably electricity, we can't effectively run the hospital. We understand that. But how can you climb pole to drop the line? And that is the pain, that we cannot even use our plant to solve the situation at hand.
Okay.
And that is our biggest challenge.
That it's a very, very sad development there. But stay on for me. We've also been joined by the Manager of Corporate Communications at NETCO, Maxwell Kotuka, who's joining us via Zoom there. Maxwell, grateful that you could join us. Your response to the management's claim that they were not consulted before the exercise? Hello, Maxwell. Kindly unmute so we can hear what you're telling us.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Good evening to you. Good evening to Mr. Damba, and good evening to your cherished viewers and listeners if they are any. I must say before I proceed that the demeanor and conduct of Mr. Damba this evening is a marked improvement of his earlier conduct, and I want to commend him on that. I insist that where we have reached, we will need level head, cool head, and less emotions to walk ourselves out of the country.
Well, Mr. Kotuka, if someone dies at your facility, I'm not sure you would be okay enough to have a level head when you are discussing matters like this.
Well, he has managed to improve this evening. So all I'm saying is to commend him. But to issue a disclaimer, so far we are discussing the issues based on their report, their say-so. And I cannot but acknowledge that in your reportage, you said that 2 babies are reported dead, and that the hospital reports blah, blah, blah. So fine. I just want to underline the fact that at this point, it is their say so. As an institution, we do not have any independent way of determining the veracity or lack thereof in that. Be that as it may, he indicates that this is a legacy debt, and that when they checked, they noticed that the last time government paid was 2013. The last time government paid for them was 2013. But you see, this is the arrangement. NEDCO has provided service to the Ann Hospital. Ann Hospital has used the service. It is not in question. So when we bring you bills and you have an arrangement by which you forward it to CHAG and CHAG forwards it to a third party for payment, with the greatest respect, is it not only responsible that you follow up and see whether or not the payments are being done? Because you have that arrangement with CHAG. We don't have that arrangement with CHAG. That is the first one. The second point is that you say that CHAG doesn't pay, or CHAG forwards the bills to the ministry for the appropriate response. But it is not Ann's hospital that is the only CHAG hospital we deal with. For the record, NEDCO operates in over 8 of the geographical regions of Ghana. So there are CHAG hospitals in all these other places where we operate. And we liaise with them, we engage them, they pay. There is none of them as far as our records.
But so
last payment was in 2013.
So I wanted to find out from you, what is the existing mode of payment from this particular facility?
Well, the mode of payment, like he himself has said, is non-payment. That is the mode from 2013. We give them the bill, they don't get to us. And we have been tolerant since 2013. And you asked a question whether we have been, whether we engage them or not. I'm sure he himself confessed that we engage them. In fact, the first time when we went...
No, I was asking for the mode of payment because that would then get us to understand in the past, how has this hospital been paying the NEDCO for power consumed?
Oh, the last payment they made was in 2013. But before then, they were paying. They were paying. And if you, and I'm saying to you, for greater clarity on this, I'm saying to you that it is not Ann's hospital that is the only, Ann's hospital is not the only hospital that we deal with under the umbrella of CHAG. There are several others. And we have dealt with all these. He puts it that we harass them for payment. It's unfortunate. If we bring you power which you consider to be very critical to the success of your operation.
So Mr. Kojo, do they pay you by themselves? Hold on, Mr. Kojo. Do they pay you by themselves or it's a third party that does the payment?
They pay by themselves. Okay. And if you give me the opportunity,
okay, that's fine. But how critical was this exercise that such that you had no option than disconnecting such an essential facility like the hospital? Because you knew there could be people on some essential facilities in that place.
Thank you very much. We sought to disconnect, and he himself will confess, we disconnected 2 blocks, the administration block and the OPD. It just happened that somehow the lab was on the administration block. So it wasn't intended to go at the most critical of all the installations. Be that as it may, he makes a point, and I would be grateful if you give me the opportunity to clarify this. He makes the point that we disconnected them in a manner that disabled their generator. That's very unfortunate.
Okay.
Is that if we are disconnecting you, we are disconnecting you from our network. So whatever disconnection we do, we undertake, it is done on our network.
Okay.
If that makes your generator to malfunction, then that's an internal problem. We cannot be responsible for
I'm
that.
grateful,
because if the generator is an alternative to ours, then it cannot be hinging on us.
I'm grateful, Mr. Kotoka, for joining us. He is Corporate Communications Manager for NEDCO. This is still Joy News Prime. We'll take a quick break. When we return, we have latest from Kumawu for you. Stay on. Welcome back from the break. This is your election headquarters. We are still in Kumawu to bring you all the latest in that particular by-election. Who is winning what? We understand from initial reactions that the NPP candidate is leading the race to be elected as Member of Parliament for the people of Kumawu constituency. We've spoken to the mother in his hometown, and many other people have expressed their views on this particular election. Kofi Eje, who's our data analyst in the house, is still here with me. Kofi, let's go through some of the the parting, the vote that they've had in the past. The NPP, their candidate, how much they win the various. I mean, let's start from 96, where we saw there was a competitive one. 92, it wasn't because the NPP withdrew after the presidential election. What has been the vote that these parties have been garnering from the previous elections?
So we've already shown this data, and just like I said, the NDC knew that this was going to be a very difficult election, probably winning the election, but it made very significant progress as if you compare what they left in 2020. Because in 2020, they had a candidate that was only able to capture just 8.33% of the total valid vote cast. But per what we have right now, it looks as if that we may have the NDC candidate come in second. And probably that was one of the objectives that they wanted to achieve in this election.
So before we come there, let's go through what has been happening from 96. Now, in 96, the NPP candidate won by 61.1%.
Absolutely.
The NDC trailed with 38.1%.
So in 96, that was when the NPP, they've started...
they came into the
race for the first time. Exactly, after the 1992 boycott. They came to the scene, and right from the onset, they were able to capture 61%. So
then it tells you that in 92, if they had come, probably they would have won that.
Exactly, and NDC was still popular. Just look at it.
Exactly. Then in 2000, the NPP increased its vote to 72.3%. The NDC, on the other hand, lost some vote. So they trailed with 25.2%. In 2004, the NPP again increased its vote in the constituency. The MP won by 74.9%. The NDC trailed with 23.4%, a drop in the last one.
So from the look of things, Brace, from 1996 to 2004, the NDC, they've been dropping in the share of the vote at Kumawu.
Then, so in 2008, the NPP also, the PC there won by 82.8%, and the NDC still trade by 16.1%. Then, in 2012, the wind of, the NDC had been in power 4 years. So, the NPP candidate won by 78.6%. They dropped in vote. The candidate dropped in vote. The MDC, on the other hand, appreciated to 20.7%. Now, in 2016, the NPP again maximized their vote in the parliamentary election.
They went back to the 2008 level.
Yes, so 81.9%. The NDC then dropped to 17.6%. Then again, in 2020, the NPP didn't maximize their vote. They lost a lot of votes. So they came to 51.11%. The NDC still trailed and still lost a lot of votes. If you look at the 2016 vote, it means that they even halved that vote by 8.3%. But there was an element there.
Exactly. So
someone from the NPP broke away.
So probably slide 4 will tell a better story with this analysis that you're trying to do. Very fantastic. Because you were actually seeing the NDC drop in vote. And if you compare this from
1996... We'll come to this, but we understand the NDC in Kumawu is challenging the result of this particular election. Let's join Nana Boakye Yadom, who is standing by with some details of this particular, allegation or the thought from the NDC point of view. Nana, let's understand what this really means. Why are they raising concerns about this election at this particular minute?
Okay, so Sammy, we are currently with the NDC team, their team for the entire election year at Kumawu. The information I am picking is that they are rejecting the provisional results as projected out there by the electoral commissioner at the Kumawu main office. According to them, the results they are projecting and what they have do not really tally. So they find it difficult accepting the results that is being projected at the EC's office. That's the information we are taking here. They are currently at the house of Dr. Kumawu here in Kumawu, where all their polling agents are meeting, they are taking their results. We spoke to the regional chairman, Namakuti, and he's saying that the results that they have from their polling agents and that of the electoral commissioner has not really tallied. But then up until they are done with their meeting inside the building, we cannot really establish a fact here. So we would be on ground. They are still with the team. They are yet to come out of the meeting to have an interaction with us.
Do we know the values that the EC has put out there, or on which basis the NDC is saying that it is not as they have from their polling agent, and therefore they want to reject this particular result?
All right, so you can see that the EC has projected more than 13,000 for NPP NSC Awinin, and then more than 3,303 for NDC Amankwa. According to the National Regional of the NDC, he's saying that the vote of NSC Awinin should be lower than what is being projected, and then that of their candidate Amankwa should be quite higher. And then the independent candidate's vote should also be higher. According to him, the number of votes they have and that of the EC, as I said earlier, does not tally.
So if I should repeat to say we have it right, you are saying that the EC has projected more than 13,000 for the NPP candidate and 3,304 for the NDC candidate. Is that it?
More than that, and still counting.
Okay. All right, so would still come back to you when this meeting has been concluded. Then we can really understand what steps the NDC wants to take. Grateful to you, Nana Boakye Yadom, for this update there. So, Kofi, there you have it. The NDC has already started, putting in signs of rejecting this particular result. We don't know what will come up, but from all that we know, how is it pointing to?
Well, so we know that we were actually expecting the second Dua, or maybe Dua the second, to make a very big impact. Yeah. But it looks as if his impact has been very silent in this election. The first Dua, on the other hand, we were also expecting or projecting that he will give, Yao
a better fight.
But it looks as if he's dropping from the second position to the third position, and the NDC is making their way to the second position, which will be very significant for the party because they've labored and toiled in Kumawu not just to be third. They want to see significant improvement in their vote. So I'm sure even if they reject this result, they will be very, very happy with the outcome of this election, probably because if you look at the total number of votes you were able to garner and then your share in the 2020 election, and you compare it to what you are having now, probably you say that, well, then I have done well. But we've been telling you about the sweet story of, independent candidates in the Kumawu constituency. So you stated it right there that any time that we've seen that the NPP is increasing in vote, there seems to be some sort of decline in the percentage of votes that the NDC gets. But there's also another factor or variable to this whole analysis, which is the independent candidate participation. Right from 1996 to 2020, you could see that we have just 2 election years that we did not have an independent candidate in Kumawu. And just by way of information, the late Rio Basua was actually the uncle of the late Philip Basua. So from Rio to Philip, and then we came to at this point where we have to choose a new person, where the NDC were trying to make an impact. But on the screens right now is the impact of all independent candidates from 2000. The first person to come in was Kingsford Boateng, who had 3,129 votes. He was able to garner 13.4% of the total valid votes, and he placed second.
So it means that the independent candidate have been affected in this particular election.
Absolutely.
Let's see how the two will affect this election and what sort of numbers both of them will garner at the end of the day when the Electoral Commission puts out the vote that each candidate got in this election. Well, we'll take a quick break here. When we come back, Becky Bex will be joining us with Showbiz. Stay with us. All right, time for us to do Showbiz. But just before I welcome Becky Bex, our data team is getting us these values from the election in Kumawu. We understand that 74 out of the 75 polling stations have been collected so far. The NPP is leading with 15,046 votes. 15,046 votes. The NDC has 3,569. The first independent candidate, Kwekudia the first, is having 2,459, and the second independent candidate is garnering 60. We understand there's only 2 polling stations left to go. So these are provisional figures there. Becky Bex.
In Kumawu. There's nothing really happening in Kumawu from me because, well, I don't have anything from there. Hopefully they will get me something from there. But Kim Promise has been talking about the album of the year. He won the album of the year. He took that award. Black Sheriff was in that same category. And he was on Hit FM talking about how he feels about winning that particular award.
All the hard work, I put into it, just being recognized, it means a lot because, like I said, I put so many late nights, early mornings, sleepless nights, and just trying to perfect that project. And a project that we wanted to compete globally, from Ghana to the rest of the world. So, to be able to do all of that with the album and actually go on an actual world tour, do all those things, just representing my people, and for us to eventually win the album of the year, it really, it felt good. And it's not like I kind of expected it, I never really expect nothing at the awards. Never. I always go in with a clear mind, you know what I mean? Because everybody in the category, they also deserve to win as well. That's why they're in there. So for that, I'm like, let's go have fun, most important, let's shell it, let's kill the stage, and, whatever happens, happens. But it was a lot of hard work put in there that I was looking for it.
Now, Ghanaian filmmaker and artist Big Gun has advised the Ghanaian movie industry players to always target the global space when creating content. According to the award-winning filmmaker, industry players must not limit their creativity and take advantage of global platforms like YouTube.
I think all other Ghanaians who are into audiovisuals, into media, should target such platforms. Okay, AMVC is big, but AMVC is not the only platform I've been on. I've been on Likes of Afrif. I've won awards in Italy and all that with my project. Yes, so I really wish we had a lot of Ghanaians doing same or something close, because sometimes I get on these platforms and I get flown out there, and I realize I'm the only Ghanaian. Yeah, last year it was only me and Pascal who were in the hotel, and honestly speaking, I wish I could have other people that we could do this together with. We could and it to be a nice Ghana boy is actually going global. So I just wish we should look beyond creating content for the Ghanaian. Mostly they go like, oh, we're local content. I don't know why they do that. There's a film. Film is a global word. Movies are global. There's nothing like the Ghanaian standard, the Nigerian standard, and the world standard. Film is film. It's a global village. When you tweet, everybody in the world sees it. So why are we limiting our films when the YouTubes and the rest who put our films on are actually global? Somebody can type your name and type your film, and anybody in the world could see it. So why are we limiting the quality to regions? So I feel we should go the extra mile.
Well, for more of this, log on to myjoyonline.com/entertainment. That's where you find all the credible entertainment news. And to you, will we brush our teeth
will we see Taraji doing the Adwa thing?
No, it's actually our own people doing the Adwa. Well, but the movie is not out yet, so just look forward to the movie. But we should brush our teeth.
Yeah, we should remember to brush our teeth before we go to bed this evening, tomorrow morning when you do wake up. Now, you have to do it with either Pepsodent Cavity Fighter, Pepsodent Charcoal, Pepsodent Hairball, or Pepsodent Triple Protection, because with Pepsodent, every smile matters. Yeah. Grateful that you were part of our show today. But like I said before, I take a leave of you. Let me just give you what we've gotten from the Kumawu election. We understand out of 75 polling stations, we've collated so far 74. Out of that, the NPP candidate, NSC Awanim, is leading with 15,046. These are provisional figures, not the certified one from the EC. Provisionally, 15,046. The NDC has 3,569. The independent, Kwekudia, the first, has 2,459. And the second, Kwekudia, has 62 polling stations left to go. And that's how we wrap it up. There's more news on myjoyonline.com.